On a bitter December morning in Colorado, a scene of unimaginable horror unfolded. A 6-year-old beauty, once the radiant center of her family's world, was discovered lifeless under baffling circumstances. This isn't just any unsolved case. It is the haunting story of JonBenét Ramsey. It all began on the early hours of December 26, 1996. In a sprawling, upscale home, the night's festive calm was shattered by a call to 911.
911, what's the emergency, please?
Reporting a possible kidnapping in an otherwise safe and quiet community. In the pre-dawn gloom, Patsy Ramsey, the distraught mother, had already been thrust into a nightmare. As she made her way through the silent corridors of her home, a sense of dread filled her every step. On her usual route down the back spiral staircase, she found something that no parent should ever see: a 3-page handwritten note lying carelessly on a stair tread. The note, scrawled on legal pad paper, began with a single, chilling line: "Mr. Ramsey, we have your daughter." In that moment, the world as she knew it shattered. The note's text was bizarre in its demands and style. It specified an exact sum of $118,000, breaking the amount into 2 different denominations, and even went so far as to detail a delivery method that bordered on the surreal. How could someone craft such an elaborate message in the midst of chaos? And if it was pre-written, why leave it behind in a home that belonged to a prominent family with a well-known background? These were the questions that would dog investigators from day one. As Patsy raced upstairs to her daughter's room, her mind barely registering the words she'd just read, she discovered the unthinkable. JonBenét was missing. The once lively and loving child, known for her charm and innocence in the world of children's beauty pageants, was nowhere to be found. In the following frantic moments, family members scrambled to piece together the timeline of the night before. The initial investigation revealed little about the entry or exit points for a potential intruder. There was no evidence of forced entry save for one peculiar detail: a broken window in the basement that had not recently shattered into a chaotic scatter of glass. This window, along with an old hard-shell suitcase found nearby, fueled early speculation. Could an intruder have used these as tools of entry or exit? John Ramsey, thrust into the role of a father desperate to reclaim his daughter, found himself oscillating between heartbreak and a steely resolve. In the early hours of that fateful morning, he ventured into the basement, a decision that would forever be etched in the annals of this case. With every step, the tension in the house grew thicker, and every minute that passed felt like an eternity. The basement, shrouded in dim light and silence, soon revealed a sight that no parent should ever have to confront: the body of JonBenét Ramsey. Her small form lay lifeless, her once bright eyes now a silent testament to a violence that no words could fully encapsulate. Detective Linda Arndt, one of the first on the scene, soon described the moment with a clinical detachment that belied the profound tragedy before her. She recalled how John, in a state of shock and urgency, had retrieved his daughter's body, only to find that even in death, every detail of the scene seemed meticulously arranged. JonBenét's limbs, the position of her body, even the way the blanket had been carelessly draped over her, each detail raised more questions than answers. How had a home, once a haven of family warmth, transformed into a crime scene riddled with such glaring inconsistencies? The investigation, now in full swing, would uncover a multitude of perplexing details. Among the most confounding was the ransom note itself. Forensics experts pored over every inch of the note. They discovered that it had been written on a notepad that belonged to Patsy Ramsey, the mother, raising unsettling questions about its true origins. Was it possible that the note was staged to misdirect the investigation? Or could it be that someone within the family, under duress, had attempted to fabricate a scenario to shield themselves? As theories swirled, the media quickly latched onto every incongruity, amplifying the mystery and driving the public into a frenzy of speculation. In the midst of the chaos, details about the physical evidence began to emerge. JonBenét's body bore signs of both blunt force trauma and a peculiar pattern of injuries that pointed to a possible struggle. The broken fragment of her skull, the gaping wound across her head, and the distinctive abrasions on her neck created a forensic puzzle that defied simple explanation. One of the most striking pieces of evidence was the white cord found tied around JonBenét's neck. It was a simple piece of rope, yet its placement and the manner in which it was secured defied easy explanation. Some forensic analysts argued that it was tied so loosely that it couldn't have been the instrument of death, while others suggested that its very presence was a deliberate staging meant to simulate a kidnapping gone awry. Such an arrangement, some experts argued, was not the work of a cold-blooded murderer driven solely by greed or malice, but of someone with a disturbing desire to orchestrate every detail of a scene designed to both mystify and implicate. Adding to the intrigue was the discovery of a piece of tape hastily applied over JonBenét's mouth. When John Ramsey found her, he had torn the tape off in a desperate bid to revive her, only to leave it behind in the basement as evidence of the chaos that had ensued. Alongside the tape, a white blanket and even a Barbie nightgown were found in the area, items that did not belong to what JonBenet had been wearing the previous night. These seemingly minor details, when combined with the forensic evidence, painted a picture of a crime scene that was as messy and contaminated as it was perplexing. One particularly chilling element of the investigation was the discovery of foreign DNA beneath JonBenét's fingernails and on the cord around her neck. This evidence, although inconclusive at the time, added an international dimension to an already complex case. In 1997, rudimentary testing hinted at the presence of an unknown contributor, a mysterious profile that no one could match to anyone in the family or their immediate circle. This unknown DNA became a focal point of speculation, suggesting that there might have been another person in the house that night, a ghost lurking in the shadows of a meticulously staged crime scene. As experts debated the significance of these findings, theories abounded. Was this an intruder, a desperate criminal seeking ransom, or was it evidence of a far more sinister conspiracy that implicated those closest to JonBenet? Yet, even as the investigation grew in scope and complexity, one fact remained painfully clear. The Ramsey family was caught in a maelstrom of suspicion, grief, and relentless public scrutiny. Accusations flew as freely as the questions. Some speculated that the family had staged the crime scene themselves, fabricating the note and contaminating the environment in a desperate bid to deflect blame. Others argued that an unknown intruder had executed a meticulously planned crime, leaving behind a trail of forensic evidence that hinted at a professional killer. In a bizarre twist of fate, even the family's own internal dynamics became fodder for speculation. The stark contrast between John's determined, action-oriented response and Patsy's overwhelming grief was interpreted by some as evidence of a hidden internal conflict, a split personality perhaps, or even an elaborate cover-up. The truth, however, remained as elusive as ever. As the months turned into years, the case of JonBenét Ramsey transformed into a cultural phenomenon, a macabre legend that blurred the lines between fact and fiction. Documentaries, books, and countless televised interviews dissected every moment of that winter morning, each retelling adding its own twist to an already labyrinthine mystery. For many, the case became less about finding a killer and more about the dark undercurrents of American society, the failure of law enforcement, the invasive nature of the media, and the tragic cost of a family's loss. Over the years, countless investigators, both professional and amateur, have delved into the myriad inconsistencies of the Ramsey case. They have examined every angle, from the possibility of an inside job orchestrated by the family, to the chance that a cold-blooded killer used the home as a stage for a twisted, self-aggrandizing performance. Some argue that the meticulous staging of the scene, complete with the ransom note and the deliberate positioning of everyday objects, points to someone who was intimately familiar with the household and its routines. Others contend that the chaos and contamination of the crime scene were the inevitable results of an unprepared and overwhelmed police force facing a case that defied their expectations. In every investigation report, every media interview, and every forensic re-examination, there lies a quiet hope that someday the truth will emerge from the shadows. Until that day comes, the case remains a symbol of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, a struggle in which the search for justice is never ending. In the end, the true tragedy of this case is not simply the loss of a young life, but the enduring impact it has had on everyone touched by it. The family forced into a maelstrom of suspicion, the investigators battling both external pressures and internal doubts, and the public whose fascination with the case has only grown with time. And so, as we stand here today, looking back on the events that unfolded in that ill-fated home, we are left with more questions than answers, yet the story continues to demand our attention, urging us to peer into the darkness and to search for that elusive glimmer of truth. It is a story that will persist in our collective memory, a mystery that, despite every new lead and every fresh theory, remains as unsolved as the day it began. If you liked the video, please press the like button and subscribe, and check out other videos on our channel. We've got a lot of other stories about murders that are not resolved to this day,